Tonight, I stop letting boys talk to me like I'm furniture. Tonight, I let a boy meet the man. I said it under my breath while the Costco sheet cake sweated on the patio table and the string lights hummed like bees. 10 years old, my twin granddaughters, crowns crooked, frosting on their knuckles, the whole backyard of our L.A. ranch house breathing in and out like a living thing. Balloons skated against the stucco. The neighbor's dog bayed at the mariachi playlist coming from a Bluetooth speaker. And me, Todd, 70, a widower with a wedding band, I still rotate when the toasts run long. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening in the comments. Lance, my son-in-law, had the microphone and the swagger that comes with a rented tux jacket and someone else's success. Okay, family photo time, he shouted, clapping like he just landed a plane. Phones came out. Tripod sprouted. 90 guests formed a crescent. Kids squirming, adults calibrating smiles. Then he turned to me with that practiced smirk. Todd, why don't you, hang back by the hallway? Over by the bathroom door. He chuckled into the mic. We don't want to, age the shot. People laugh because people laugh when they don't know where to put their eyes. I felt Lisa, my daughter, flinch in a way only a father notices. I could have corrected him. I could have taken a mic and said, Son, I paid for the teeth in half these mouths. But I've learned that a man who needs a stage will step on his own trapdoor if you let the spotlight cook him. Sure, I said, friendly as a greeter at Home Depot. I stepped back, stopping beside the powder room. The door breathed cool air on my wrist. My wife's old watch, thin gold engraved. Keep time. Caught a glint off the phone flashes. The twins looked at me with that twin telepathy. You okay, Grandpa? I gave them the same wink I used on their mother when she was nervous at her first Little League at-bat. Perfect, Lance said, corralling the pretty people into a single angle. Let's keep it fresh, folks. Another little laugh. That word, fresh, like I was milk past 8. I listened to the house. Ice clinking in a bucket. A toilet tank refilling. Sprinklers ticking across the lawn. Sound anchors you when your heart wants to sprint. I remember the first time I saw Lisa cry. Kindergarten. A boy yanked her ponytail, and I taught her to breathe through her nose until the world came back into focus. Same drill. Inhale, count 4. Exhale, count 4. Don't move. Let him talk. Actually, I said softly to the nearest cousin adjusting her sequin wrap, could you hand me that step stool? She blinked. I smiled. I'm fine. Because I was. Because patience is a tool. Because I know where the money lives. All right, say double digits. Lance sang out. Double digits, the crowd answered. I watched Lisa's mouth form the words, but not the smile. A tiny crack in the glaze. That's all you need to start a break. A hand brushed my elbow. Sir, you're fine right there, a hired photographer murmured. Kindly enough, like he was guiding a palm frond out of frame. I nodded. Thank you for the data point, I thought. Speech, someone yelled. Lance obliged, because of course he did. He talked about hustle and grind in the way we built the business, and he thanked family investors in the vaguest possible way, which is to say he didn't look at me. My phone buzzed with calendar reminder I never miss. The day my wife died, years ago, same month as the girls were born. A private hinge inside a public day. I turned the screen over. The watch ticked. Keep time. Then the universe did me a favor. A man I'd met once, maybe twice, broke from the pack by the grill, older than Lance, 10 lines I map around his eyes, a cufflink shaped like an oil drop. He stopped dead when he saw me by the bathroom. His face moved the way faces do when a magic trick resolves. And the coin's behind your ear after all. Hold up, he said, voice cutting the chatter without a mic. Your name's Todd, right? I tilted my head. That's right. He squinted as if focusing a lens. Todd. He said my last name like it had weight. Heads turned. Phones lowered. The twins looked back at me. Little crowns askew, confetti in their hair. The man pointed at me, eyes bright with recognition and a hint of fear. That's Todd, he said, the man who bought our company. I could feel 90 pairs of lungs hitch at once, like the party itself forgot how to breathe. The music cut mid-trumpet. Even the neighbor's mutt went quiet. Lance blinked, mouth open, frozen in a grin that hadn't gotten the memo. "But what company?" he stammered, laugh half loaded. "The man, Kyle." I remembered now. Uncle to Lance, one of the public faces of their family's empire, took 2 steps forward. "Our company," he repeated, louder this time, voice shaking not from drink but from awe. "He's the man who signed the deal. He's the one who, hell, he owns it all." People shifted, like churchgoers realizing they'd been bowing to the wrong altar. Whispers tumbled. "Is that true?" "You're kidding." "That guy." My daughter, Lisa, clutched her champagne flute like a lifeline, eyes darting between her husband and me. I didn't nod, didn't bow. I simply let the silence thicken. In my world, silence is the heaviest weapon. Lance tried to reboot. "Come on, Kyle, you're drunk. This is my father-in-law, Todd. He's retired. Lives in a condo, drives a Camry." Kyle's voice cracked with a strange laugh. "Retired? That man's worth more than the rest of us, standing here combined." He turned to the crowd. "You fools just let him stand by the bathroom like an usher." Gasps, nervous laughter, and then phones, lots of them, angling, recording. I could almost hear the hashtags being born. Lance's face went pink, then red, then white, like a traffic light stuck in a storm. "Dad, Todd, why didn't you ever tell me?" he stuttered, reaching for me with a hand that suddenly looked too small. I let him sweat. The watch on my wrist ticked, steady as a war drum. "Keep time." My wife's words from another life. Finally, I spoke, calm as a judge. "Because I was never auditioning for your approval, son." The hush was absolute. Some guests shifted closer, as if the air around me was warmer. The twins stared, wide-eyed, whispering to each other like sparrows on a wire. Lisa's lips parted. "Dad, is that true?" she asked, so soft only I could hear it. I met her eyes. "It's all true, every word." And that was when Lance snapped. He grabbed the mic, voice cracking like a kid's. All right, let's just keep the focus where it belongs. On my daughters, on family." But it was too late. The focus had shifted. Every set of eyes was on me. Every camera, too. "Family?" Kyle Bart, shaking his head. "You just humiliated the man who saved your business. Do you even understand what you've done?" Lance tried to smile again, but it quivered, unglued. "Dad, I didn't mean it. You know that, right? Just a joke." The crowd didn't buy it. Neither did I. I slipped my hands into my pockets, turned toward the gate at the side of the house. "Lisa," I said, voice steady, "I love you, but I won't stand where I'm not respected." The gate latch clicked, and before anyone could stop me, I was gone into the dark street, leaving their stunned faces framed in the string light's dying glow. What none of them knew, what only I felt humming in my chest, was that my next call would rewrite their future in ink they couldn't wash off. The street outside was cool, damp with ocean air rolling inland, the kind of night when jacarandas shed their blossoms and stained the sidewalks purple. I walked slow, deliberate, letting each step grind the sound of Lance's laughter out of my ears. My phone buzzed in my pocket, but I let it ride. Respect isn't begged for, it's commanded or it's gone. By the time I reached my car, a 10-year-old Toyota Camry nobody ever looked twice at, I had already drawn the blueprint. My wife used to tell me I was a builder first, a banker second. Builders know when to tear down rotten before it spreads. Tonight, I'd start tearing. I sat behind the wheel, leather cracked, dashboard smelling faintly of pine from a faded air freshener. The watch ticked on my wrist, louder now. Keep time. Always. I unlocked my phone and dialed a number burned into me deeper than any prayer. Nathan Ellis, my attorney of 30 years. The man answered on the second ring, groggy but alert. "Mr. H?" he said, using the old alias we'd agreed on long, before anyone guessed when money flowed. "It's Todd," I said. "I'm pulling every line tied to Lance's ventures. Loans, credit extensions, investment guarantees. All of it, effective immediately." A pause. Papers shuffled in the background. "That's substantial." "You're sure?" "Crystal." My voice didn't shake. "And I want notices drafted tonight. They hit his inbox before sunrise. Nathan exhaled, the sound of a man watching dominoes fall in his mind. Understood. Anything else? Yes. Reevaluate the trust documents. Move priority disbursements out of family channels. Funnel everything into the Children's Learning Foundation. That's a full restructure, Todd. Then start structuring. You'll bill me for the hours. I hung up before sympathy could creep into his tone. The Camry idled, headlights washing over a row of trash cans waiting for collection. I thought about Lisa, my daughter, the girl I once pushed on a swing so high she screamed with laughter. I thought about her standing in that backyard, torn between her husband's arrogance and her father's silence. She'd chosen quiet complicity tonight. That wound would fester, but wounds teach. I had learned mine the hard way. Decades ago, when partners smiled in my face and gutted me behind closed doors. I had rebuilt then. She would have to rebuild now. I shifted into drive, rolled through the dark neighborhood where party balloons bobbed on mailboxes. Somewhere behind me, music limped back to life. Someone would be telling the story already. The old man by the bathroom door, who turned out to own the whole damn company. Let them talk. Gossip is just free distribution. What mattered was a paper trail already rewriting itself in bank servers and legal drafts. By morning, Lance would wake up to find the oxygen ripped from his business. I gripped the wheel tighter, not from anger, but from clarity. Justice doesn't shout. It whispers, steady, inevitable, like a watch that never stops ticking. And as I merged onto the empty freeway, I knew. His fall had already begun, and there was nothing on earth that could stop gravity. Morning sunlight cut through the blinds like a blade when my phone rang again. I'd barely slept, though I didn't need to. Some men feed on rest, others on purpose. It was Nathan. His voice had the caffeine of 3 espressos. All notices sent. Credit lines withdrawn. Guarantees dissolved. By noon, Lance's board will know he's swimming naked. I rubbed the stubble on my chin, watching dust drift in the sunbeam. Good. Let him learn what it feels like when the tide goes out. Nathan hesitated. Todd, this will collapse everything tied to him. The business, the house, Lisa's lifestyle. Collateral, I cut in. If my daughter wants to rise, she will. But she won't rise on my silence while a boy mocks me in front of my granddaughters. I ended the call before the lawyer's conscience started bleeding through. I drove downtown. Not the gleaming towers, those I built and bought decades ago, but the old district where pawn shops and nefarious share walls with cash-only laundromats. I ordered eggs and black coffee at a diner, where the waitresses call everyone Han and the receipts curl from the heat. That's where Kyle found me. He walked in like a storm cloud with a tan. Hell of a disappearing act last night, he said, sliding into my booth. You realize Lance is panicking? Called me 6 times before sunrise. I forked into the yoke, slow. And you? Kyle grinned, wolfish. I enjoyed watching him sweat. Been a long time coming. But why'd you stay quiet all these years? You had the crown and chose a baseball cap. Because, I said, sipping coffee. Crowns attract bullets. Caps let you walk the streets. He chuckled, but his eyes sharpened. Words out now. You humiliated him worse than any rival could. No, I said, placing the fork down. He humiliated himself. I just stood where he told me to. Kyle leaned back. The investors will scatter. He'll beg you. You ready for that? I looked past him, out the window at a delivery truck unloading crates of oranges, their color bright against the gray. Begging is easy. Changing is hard. I'll wait and see what she chooses. My phone buzzed again, Lisa's name this time. I didn't answer. Let her sit with the silence. The same silence I had carried on my shoulders last night when her husband tried to erase me from a family photo. Kyle whistled low. You're colder than the lawyers, Todd. Maybe colder than me. Not cold, I corrected. Measured. We sat there, the diner filling with the hiss of the grill and the clatter of plates. Outside, the city kept moving, unaware that a single man had just pulled the plug on an empire. Kyle finally stood. Well, whatever happens, I'll be front row. Haven't seen good theater in years. He left with a laugh that left shadows in the booth. I finished my eggs, slid cash on the saucer, and stood. My knees creaked, but my resolve didn't, because I knew the next act hadn't even started. And when Lance finally called, the world would hear the sound of a man choking on the silence he once demanded from me. The call came that evening, just as the sun slid down behind the palms and the city lit its neon veins. My phone buzzed with a name I expected, Lance. I let it ring twice before I answered. His voice was already cracking under the weight of panic. Dad, Todd, I don't know what happened. My accounts are frozen. The bank pulled the line. Vendors are calling like wolves. What the hell's going on? I sat on my balcony. Camry parked below, a glass of bourbon sweating beside me. Sounds like business. I said evenly, when you build on borrowed stilts, don't be surprised when the tide eats the sand. You can't just do this, he shouted, panic pitching into anger. You know how many people depend on me? How many jobs? I cut him off. Don't lecture me about jobs. I've employed more people in silence than you've ever managed in the spotlight. He went quiet. I could hear Lisa in the background, her voice muffled but sharp. She was crying. That sound dug a nail straight into my ribs, but I didn't let it shake my words. Lance tried again, softer now. Look, I was out of line last night. The whole photo thing, it was just a joke. Bad timing, okay? But we're family. Family forgives. I swirled the bourbon, watched the ice collapse into amber. Family respects. Forgiveness is earned. He groaned, desperate. What do you want from me? A public apology? I'll do it. Hell, I'll rent a billboard. That's the problem, I said. You think respect is something you can buy or rent or spin for likes. Respect is how you treat the man standing beside the bathroom door. The silence stretched. Only the city filled it. Sirens in the distance, laughter from the street. Finally, Lance snapped, his mask on. You're ruining us. You'll drag Lisa down, too. You think she'll thank you for this? You're old, bitter, and petty. You want control? Fine, but you'll die alone with your money. I let his words hang, sharp as broken glass. Then I spoke, calm as stone. Better to die alone with dignity than live surrounded by parasites. The line went dead. I stared at the bourbon glass. Empty now, the melted ice reflecting the last threads of daylight. The ache in my chest wasn't from his words. It was from Lisa's sob, still ringing in my ears. I knew she would call next, and that call would cut deeper than any insult Lance could spit, because this wasn't just about revenge. It was about teaching my own blood what it means to stand or fall, and I wasn't sure yet which way she would lean. Lisa's call came just after midnight. The city was quieting down, traffic thinning to a hush, but my phone lit up like a flare. Her name on the screen hit harder than any whiskey. I answered, Lisa. Her voice cracked, raw. Dad, what are you doing? The bank. The foreclosure notice. Lance says you pulled everything. Is it true? I leaned back in the chair, the night breeze carrying the smell of jasmine from the neighbor's yard. It's true. She exhaled hard, almost a sob. Why? Why would you burn it all down? You raised me to build, not destroy. No, I said gently. I raised you to know the difference between pride and poison. Your husband mocked me in front of my granddaughters. Lisa, he stripped me of dignity to polish his ego. That I cannot let stand. Dad, he was nervous, trying to make people laugh. He's stupid sometimes, but nothing. I cut in. A man's character shows under pressure. He didn't just make a bad joke. He revealed who he is. She was crying now. We're going to lose the house. The business is already drowning. The girls, they don't understand. They think Grandpa is angry at Mommy. Her words pierced deeper than she knew. My granddaughters were my light, the only reason I ever showed up at those family gatherings in the first place. But I couldn't bend. Not now. I'm not angry at you. I said, steady, I'm setting boundaries. Something I should have done years ago. Her breath hitched. So that's it? You'd rather see us homeless than give Lance another chance. I clenched my jaw, watching the city lights blink like dying stars. I'd rather see you free than shackled to a man who thinks respect is optional. You'll survive, Lisa. You're stronger than you think. She went silent. For a long moment, all I heard was her breathing. Then, in a voice small as a child, she whispered, "I miss Mom." That broke something in me. My wife's absence was a shadow in every room, the echo in every laugh. But even that wound couldn't change my resolve. "I miss her, too," I said softly. "Every day." And she'd tell you the same thing I'm telling you now. A man who disrespects your father will one day disrespect you. Lisa sniffed, then whispered, "I don't know if I can forgive you for this." The line went dead. I sat there in the dark, phone still warm in my hand, the city pressing close like a witness. And for the first time in years, I felt the weight of being truly alone. But loneliness, I reminded myself, is lighter than betrayal. And in that truth, I found the strength to plan my next move. Dawn crawled over Los Angeles in streaks of pink and smog, the kind of morning that makes the city look honest for a few minutes before the heat burns the truth away. I'd been up all night, the phone dark, bourbon gone, the weight of Lisa's voice still cutting through me. By 7, the headlines were already bubbling online. Someone had filmed the party. The exact moment Kyle called me out, the exact smirk on Lance's face as he told me to stand by the bathroom door. The clip spread like gasoline catching a spark. "Grandpa Billionaire," one caption read. Another, "Man owns your company, still gets told to move." I didn't need to read comments to know the tone. America loves an underdog. America loves a reckoning even more. By 9, Lance showed up at my condo. He didn't knock, he hammered. I opened the door slow, bathrobe tied, coffee in hand. Let him see I wasn't shaken. His face was wrecked, eyes bloodshot, shirt untucked, a man sprinting downhill with no brakes. "You've destroyed me," he spat. "Do you even understand?" The board's in revolt. Clients are fleeing. My phone won't stop. People think I'm a clown. "You didn't need my help for that," I said, sipping coffee. He shoved his way inside. "You're enjoying this, aren't you? Watching me fall apart." I shut the door behind him, calm. Enjoy isn't the word. Satisfying, maybe. Watching consequences catch up. He paced, pulling at his hair. "You think you're teaching me a lesson? You're teaching your granddaughters that their family can implode overnight." I leaned against the counter, the watch on my wrist ticking steady. "No, Lance. I'm teaching them that respect matters, that a man can't spit on his elders and expect the world to clap." He stopped pacing, turned, and pointed a trembling finger at me. "You don't get it. In this city, perception is everything. You humiliated me in front of everyone. You think they'll ever look at me the same?" I let the silence hang, then answered, "No, and that's the point." He sagged against the sofa, head in hands, muttering curses. For the first time, he looked small, not the slick son-in-law who strutted with microphones, but a boy cornered by his own reflection. "You can fix this," he said finally, looking up with wet eyes. "You can call the banks, reinstate the lines. Tell people it was all a misunderstanding." I shook my head slowly. "I didn't cause your fall. I just stopped holding the ladder." His jaw tightened. "If Lisa leaves me over this, if I lose everything, it'll be on you." "No," I said. "It'll be on you for underestimating the man who gave her life and mocking him in front of her children." The air between us was thick enough to choke on. He stood abruptly, storming to the door. Before he left, he turned and hissed, "You're not a hero, Todd. You're just an old man who hates being invisible." The door slammed. I stared at it for a long moment, then whispered to the empty room, "Better invisible than hollow." And in that stillness, I knew his first real public humiliation was only beginning. By the end of that week, humiliation had teeth. The video from the birthdays spread beyond neighborhood gossip. It hit business blogs, then mainstream feeds. Talk shows played it on loop. A 7-year-old man told to stand by the bathroom door, only to be revealed as a hidden billionaire who owned the very company his son-in-law bragged about. Clips spliced me into folk hero territory. "America's grandpa outsmarts arrogant son-in-law," one headline screamed. The internet loves symbols, and Lance had made himself one. Disrespect, vanity, fraud. Lisa texted me once. The girls saw the video. They asked why Daddy was mean to you. I didn't know what to say. He exhaled, long and bitter. You think I don't know that? I built the stage he dances on, and now the audience is turning on him. But listen to me. Whatever you do, leave the company out of it. Don't burn down the house to punish the child. I stare at the folder, at the signature of Zeke himself. Seating majority, control years ago when his empire wobbled like a drunk on slick pavement. The house was mine the day you sold it, I said. Zeke went silent. Then, so this is personal. Damn right it is. I ended the call. No threats, no promises, just truth. By noon, the story had spread. Guests with cameras had already uploaded clips of Quentin's toast, his smirk, his words. And then the reveal. Comments piled like debris in a flood. Rich fool. Karma at the altar. Don't bite the hand that owns you. I walked through a corner store, picking up a pack of gum just to hear the cashier's radio. Even there, in the scratchy static between salsa songs, a DJ laughed about the Miami wedding meltdown. Quentin won an audience? Now, he had won, the whole city, but my revenge wasn't finished. Public shame is the spark. Justice is a flame. I dialed Raul. We need to visit some old friends. That afternoon, we cruised through Coral Gables, past iron gates and manicured lawns. Old money lived here, sipping bourbon on porches while they waited for the world to keep bowing. I knocked on a door that hadn't opened to me in 15 years. Inside, an investor named Howard greeted me, his eyebrows shooting up. Tanner? Lord Almighty, I thought you retired to shack. I smiled. That's what they all thought. We sat, drank, and I slid the folder across his mahogany desk. His eyes widened as he scanned the papers. You control this much of Quentin Enterprises? Control isn't the word, I said. Ownership is. Howard leaned back, whistling low. What do you want from me? Witnesses. I replied. The next time I speak, I don't want it to be just noise in a ballroom. I want the right ears listening. And I want Quentin's pride dismantled in daylight. Howard chuckled, admiration mingling with caution. You always did know how to stage an execution. I rose, buttoning my jacket. Not an execution. A lesson. Back in the car, Raul eyed me in the mirror. You look lighter, senor. Not lighter, I said, watching the city roll past. Sharpened. And sharpened blades cut deepest when the world is watching. By the third day, Miami had turned into a rumor mill with neon lights. Every diner booth, every golf course, every pier where old men swapped lies. Quentin's name was a punchline. I didn't need to push. The city did the work for me. But revenge without precision is just chaos. I wasn't after noise. I was after silence, the kind that falls when a man realizes the ground beneath him has collapsed. I called Theo that morning. Her voice was soft, raw from sleepless nights. Dad, he's a wreck. Reporters camped outside his condo. He won't even leave for work. Then the cracks are showing, I said. She hesitated. But is this what you wanted? To see him crumble? I closed my eyes, remembered the laughter echoing off crystal chandeliers, the sting of being called a pauper before my daughter and strangers alike. No, Theo. What I want is for him to learn. What I need is for you never to doubt the worth of your blood again. She was quiet, but I heard her tears. I just don't want to lose you in the fire. You won't, I promised, but he might. That afternoon, I arranged a luncheon at the Biltmore. A dozen men and women of influence, the kind who don't check menus before ordering. They'd all seen the clips, but they hadn't heard my version. I arrived early, navy suit press, cufflinks gleaming like metals. As they trickled in, whispers turned to handshakes to murmured admiration. Hell of a way to reveal yourself, Tanner, one banker said. Not a reveal, I corrected. A reminder. Respect is earned and arrogance has a cost. Over steak and bourbon, I laid out my terms. A quiet restructuring of Quentin Enterprises. My shares shifted, alliances redrawn. Not enough to kill the company, just enough to put it on notice. Howard, sipping his drink, leaned in. So when do you make it public? I smiled. Soon, but not before he feels the floor drop twice more. Humiliation without permanence is just theater. I intend to make a history. When the luncheon ended, reporters loitered outside, hungry for scraps. One shoved a mic toward me. Mr. Tanner, is it true you control Quentin Enterprises? I looked straight into the camera. Control isn't the word. Ownership is. And with ownership comes responsibility, something some people mistake for privilege. By dinner, the clip was everywhere. Cable news anchors replayed it, dissecting every syllable. And across the city, Quentin drowned deeper. That night, Raoul drove me past Brickell. Outside a rooftop bar, I saw him, disheveled, shirt wrinkled, arguing with a bartender who wouldn't serve him more credit. Phones were out, filming. His voice cracked, shrill against the hum of nightlife. Do you know who I am? The bartender shrugged. Yeah, you're the guy who humiliated himself at his own wedding. Laughter erupted, strangers jeering. Quentin shoved past them, stumbling onto the street, red-faced and broken. Cameras followed like wolves. It was his fourth humiliation, but the first one that truly stripped him bare. And I wasn't done yet. Quentin's fall was no longer a stumble. It was a free fall, and Miami had front-row seats. By morning, every gossip column from South Beach to Tallahassee carried grainy videos of him shouting at bartenders, drunk and desperate. Memes sprouted overnight. Do you know who I am? Plastered across his photo, followed by captions like nobody cares, bro. I sat at my kitchen table, cafecito steaming, and watched the city chew him up. But revenge isn't letting the mob feed. It's choosing when to serve the main course. Theo came by just after sunrise. Her eyes were red, her voice worn thin. Dad, he's spiraling. He says he can fix it if you'll just talk to him. Please, for me. I studied her, the same way I used to study ledgers, searching for truth between the lines. She still loved him, or at least a dream of him. But dreams can be costly. I'll talk to him, I said finally, but not to fix him, to finish this. That evening, I arranged a meeting, a neutral place, a private lounge in Coconut Grove, quiet but upscale. Raoul drove me, silent as always. When we arrived, Quentin was already there, slumped in a leather chair, his bravado leaking out like air from a punctured tire. He jumped to his feet. Mr. Tanner. Sir, I'm sorry. I was nervous. The toast, it came out wrong. I let him twist in silence. He fumbled on. Look, I love Theo. I'll treat her right. Just don't destroy me. Please. I leaned in, my voice low, steady. You mock me to make yourself feel taller. But respect isn't a loan, Quentin. You can't borrow on credit, and pay it back when it's convenient. He swallowed, sweat shining under the dim lights. I'll prove myself. Give me a chance. Tell me what to do. I opened the folder and slid it across the table. His eyes darted across the documents. His family's company, signatures, the undeniable proof of my control. His hand shook. You wanted ground rules. I said, here's mine. You will never again use my daughter's name to elevate your own. You will never again mistake humility for weakness. And you will never, ever forget that every door you walk through, I built. That night, I got a call from Kyle. His voice was half amusement, half disbelief. You like this? Someone filmed Lance working the valet stand at a strip mall steakhouse. He's in a red vest, sweating through it, running for tips. Internet's having a field day. I didn't laugh. That's survival, I said. There's no shame in work. Shame's in forgetting who you are while you're doing it. Kyle snorted. Funny thing to hear from a man who wore a mask for 40 years. Mask kept me alive, I replied. Lance wore it for applause. Still, I pulled up the clip later. Lance jogging clumsily, opening car doors with a forced smile. People recorded him like he was a circus act. My gut twisted. Humiliation number 4, though I hadn't planned it. The world had taken over now. I shut the laptop. The watch ticked on my wrist. Steady as always. Keep time. My wife's voice in the dark. Time, I realized was both ally and executioner. It had taken Lance's empire, but it was also taking me bit by bit, day by day. And what would I leave behind? A trail of ruin or something more? The next morning, I visited the Foundation offices. Rows of children hunched over donated laptops, teachers guiding them with patience. One boy, maybe 8, raised his hand proudly when he solved a math problem. His grin was pure, uncut joy. That was the future I wanted my money to build. Not marble foyers, not fake galas. Real lives, real chances. Driving home, I passed the strip mall where Lance worked. He didn't see me. He was chasing after a pickup truck, ticket book flapping, the red vest hanging loose. I kept driving, heart heavy but steady, because I knew the story wasn't finished. And when the final chapter came, it would have to be written not in money, not in memes, but in something Lance could never buy back. The final reckoning announced itself on a quiet Saturday morning. My phone buzzed with an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Dad." Lisa's voice thin, brittle. "I'm here," I said. She drew a shaky breath. "It's over. Lance packed a bag and walked out last night. Said he couldn't take the humiliation anymore. Couldn't take you. He left me with 2 kids and a pile of debt collectors circling like vultures." I closed my eyes. For all my resolve, the thought of my daughter abandoned clawed at me. "I'm sorry, Lisa." Her voice sharpened. "Don't be sorry. Be honest. Was this your goal all along? To destroy him until he ran? Until he left us?" I stared out my window at the city stretching wide and loud, a place that eats the weak without apology. My goal was never to hurt you. My goal was to show him and you that respect is non-negotiable. She laughed bitterly. "Respect doesn't pay rent." "No," I admitted, "but it builds foundations stronger than any house." She went quiet, then whispered, "The girls asked if Grandpa still loves us." I didn't know what to say. I swallowed hard. Tell them yes. Tell them Grandpa loves them more than anything in this world. That's the only truth they need right now. Her breath caught. "And me? Do you still love me?" I turned the watch on my wrist, the engraving pressing into my skin. "Keep time." My wife's voice echoed in my bones. "Always. But love isn't the same as indulgence. You chose him. You stayed silent when he mocked me. That silence cost you." Her sob was muffled, but it cracked through me like thunder. "Lisa," I said gently, "you have a chance now. Without him. Without the pretense. You can rebuild on honesty. That's a gift, not a punishment." She didn't answer. The line hummed with her silence, heavier than words. Then, quietly, she said, "Maybe one day I'll thank you, but right now I just hurt." The call ended. I sat there, phone limp in my hand, the morning sun climbing higher. Birds fought for scraps in the alley, their cries sharp and relentless. For the first time in years, I felt the tug of doubt. Was this justice, or cruelty dressed up as principle? But then I remembered Lance's smirk, his finger pointing me to the bathroom door, his voice turning me into a punchline in front of my granddaughters. No, this wasn't cruelty. This was consequence. And yet, beneath it all, I knew the final image of this story wasn't mine to script alone. It would come when the twins looked me in the eye and decided for themselves who their grandfather really was. The twins saw me again on a gray Sunday afternoon. Lisa had finally agreed to let me visit. Her apartment was small, 2 bedrooms stacked with boxes, furniture borrowed from neighbors, the faint smell of reheated pasta clinging to the air. But it was clean and it was theirs. They barreled toward me as soon as I stepped through the door. "Grandpa!" They shouted in unison, their crowns long gone, replaced by matching hoodies with cartoon unicorns. I crouched low, knees groaning, and let them tackle me, their laughter washing away weeks of silence. Lisa watched from the kitchen doorway, arms folded, eyes tired but softer than I'd expected. "They've been asking for you," she said quietly. We sat at the table with chipped mugs of cocoa. The girls rattled on about school, about how kids on the playground had seen the video. They said Daddy was mean to you. One of them whispered. Were they right? I met her gaze, steady. Daddy made a mistake. A big one. But mistakes don't mean someone stops being family. The other twin frowned. But you look sad in the video, like when mommy cries. The room stilled. Lisa turned her face away, blinking fast. I placed my watch on the table, the gold glinting under the dim light. See this? Your grandma gave it to me a long time ago. It says keep time. You know what that means. They shook their heads. It means no matter how hard things get, you keep moving forward. You let time do its work. You don't give up. Their small fingers touched the watch, reverent. For a moment, I saw their mother at their age, hopeful, unbroken, untouched by Lance's shadow. After they ran off to play, Lisa sat across from me, voice low. They still love him, you know, even after everything. They're children, I said. They're supposed to love their father. The question is whether he ever learns to deserve it. She exhaled, shoulders sagging. You talk about respect like it's oxygen, but you took mine away when you cut me out of the will. I didn't flinch. I gave you freedom. The money would have chained you to him forever. Now you can stand on your own. Her eyes filled, but she didn't argue. She just nodded, barely. When I left that night, the twins hugged me so tight my chest ached. Their laughter echoed down the stairwell as I walked into the cool evening air. For the first time in months, I felt something shift. Not forgiveness. Not yet, but the faint outline of a bridge waiting to be built. And I knew the final act of this story wasn't revenge anymore. It was redemption, mine, theirs, and maybe, if he had the courage, even Lance's. I didn't see Lance again until weeks later, at a diner off Sepulveda, the kind of place where the neon hums louder than the jukebox. I'd stopped in for black coffee and eggs when I noticed him across the room, red vest gone, replaced by a threadbare hoodie, hair uncombed, eyes hollow. He was bussing tables, moving like a man who'd aged 20 years overnight. He spotted me before I could leave. For a second, I thought he'd hide in the kitchen. Instead, he walked over, tray in hand, shoulders slumped. "Todd," he muttered. No swagger, no smirk. Just a name spoken like an apology. I looked up. Lance. He set the tray down, sat across from me uninvited. "You win. Okay? You've taken everything. The house, the company, the respect. Even Lisa." His voice cracked on her name. She barely looks at me now. "And the kids," he broke off, dragging a hand over his face. "They laugh at memes of me online. Do you know what that's like? To have your own daughter see you as a joke." I stir my coffee, the spoon clinking against porcelain. "Do you know what it's like to be told you're too old to belong in your family's photo?" His head dropped. For once, he didn't argue. Silence stretched between us, filled by the hiss of the griddle and the chatter of strangers. Finally, he whispered, "I thought respect came with money, with image. But when it was gone, I realized I never had it all." I studied him. He wasn't performing this time. The mask was gone, ripped off by the world, left in tatters. What sat before me was just a man, broken, desperate, small. "You were given chances," I said evenly. "You mocked them. You mocked me. Consequences were overdue." His eyes shone wet. "I don't want your money. I don't even want forgiveness. I don't want my daughters to grow up thinking I'm worthless." That struck something raw in me, because I fought my whole life against that same fear, that one day Lisa would look at me and see a man who would be behind modest clothes and quiet lies. I set the spoon down, leaned forward. Worth isn't proven at galas or in borrowed tuxes. It's proven at the dinner table, at bedtime stories, in showing up every damn day. You want redemption? Start there. He nodded slowly, shame written in every line of his face. As he stood to leave, he whispered, "I don't know if I can ever crawl out of this hole." I watched him go, the bell above the diner door jingling behind him. My hand brushed the watch on my wrist. "Keep time." My wife's voice echoed in the silence. Time had broken him, but maybe, just maybe, it could also rebuild. And I knew the real ending was close now, closer than either of us expected. The call came on a rainy Thursday evening. Lisa again. Her voice was steadier this time, though weighed with something heavier than grief. "Dad," she said, "the girls' school is holding a community night. Parents, grandparents, Anyone important? They asked if you'd come. I hesitated, staring out at the rain streaking the glass. Do you want me there? She was quiet for a beat. Yes. They need you. And so do I. The gym smelled of wet coats and popcorn when I walked in. Folding chairs lined the floor. Kids darted between them in paper crowns and painted faces. A banner read, "Family First." The irony wasn't lost on me. I spotted the twins, waving wildly. Lisa stood behind them, tired but proud. And then, in the corner of the gym, I saw him, Lance. No tux, no polished shoes. Just jeans and a plain gray sweater. Hands shoved in his pockets like a man bracing against the cold. Our eyes met. For a second, the whole room seemed to hold its breath. Then one of the twins shouted, "Daddy!" and ran to him. He knelt, scooping her up, his face softening in a way I hadn't seen in years. The other twin joined, clinging to his leg. Parents watched. Some whispered, some sneered. Everyone knew the story by now, but the girls didn't care. They had their father and grandfather in the same room, and for them, that was enough. When it came time for family sharing, kids brought relatives on stage to say something about what family meant. The twins pulled at both my hands and Lance's. "Come on," they squealed. We stood side by side under the harsh gym lights. A strange tableau me. The quiet billionaire, him, the fallen son-in-law, and two little girls holding us together like glue. One of them grabbed the mic with both hands. "Family means you don't laugh at people," she said seriously. "You love them, even when they mess up." The crowd chuckled softly, but my throat closed. Out of the mouths of children, truth landed harder than any speech. Lance glanced at me, shame in his eyes, but also something else, resolve. He bent to the mic, they're right. I messed up. I disrespected someone who never deserved it. But I'm learning, and I want to do better. Gasps rippled. It was the first public acknowledgement. The first honest words he'd spoken with no cameras staged, no lights rented. I stepped forward, watched gleaming under the gym's fluorescence. And family also means teaching lessons. Sometimes hard ones. Respect isn't free. It's earned every day. The applause that followed wasn't thunderous, but it was real. As we left the stage, the twins beaming between us, I realized the story had almost written itself full circle. But one page remained. The page where I laid my wife's memory to rest and gave my granddaughters the legacy she would have wanted. That final act was waiting, closer than ever. I stood alone that night, back on my balcony. The city stretched beneath me like a restless ocean. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under neon and headlights. My wife's watch ticked steady on my wrist, the inscription pressing into my skin. "Keep time." Always her voice, guiding me even now. The gala, the headlines, the collapse, they were noise. The true moment had come in that school gym, under fluorescent lights, where two little girls spoke the simplest truth. Family isn't about money or pride or public image. It's about respect, about showing up. I poured a glass of bourbon, raised it to the night sky. "We did it, love," I whispered. He finally understand what dignity costs. The next morning, I met Nathan one last time. The documents lay waiting. With a single signature, I finalized the transfer. Every cent of my estate directed to the Children's Learning Foundation. No loopholes, no contingencies. My legacy wasn't marble halls or family empires. It was classroom scholarships, futures built for kids who'd never even know my name. When it was done, Nathan looked at me with quiet awe. "You've rewritten the story, Todd. Not just theirs, yours too." Driving home, I stopped by Lisa's apartment. The twins ran out to greet me, arms wrapping my waist, their laughter light as wind chimes. Lisa stood in the doorway, eyes rimmed red but softer than before. She whispered, "Thank you for not giving up on us, even when it felt like you had." I nodded. "You're stronger now. That's all I ever wanted." And then Lance stepped out from the shadows, hands shoved deep in his pockets. No tuxedo, no cameras, no swagger. Just a man humbled by fire. He met my eyes and, for once, didn't flinch. "I don't expect forgiveness," he said quietly, but I'll spend the rest of my life trying to earn it from them and maybe one day from you. I studied him, saw the cracks, the scars, but also the first beams of foundation being rebuilt. I gave a single nod. Nothing more. It was enough. That evening, as I wound the watch and set on the nightstand, I thought about the journey, the bathroom door, the laughter, the silence I held until the world caught up. I'd taken back my dignity. I'd protected my legacy. And in the ruins of Lance's arrogance, I'd planted something greater than revenge. The seeds of change. The city hummed outside, endless and alive. I lay back, eyes closing, the echo of my wife's voice softer now, like a song fading at the end of a dance. Justice had been served, respect restored, and for the first time in years, I slept not with anger in my chest, but peace. Because the final image wasn't Lance's fall. It was two little girls, crowns long gone, holding my hands in the school gym, teaching us all what family really means. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the right.